I met Samuel in high school. I was a loner but connected with him enough to develop a friendship with him. We loved to talk about mysteries involving government agents, Air Force pilots, UFOs, that kind of stuff. Then something happened. Something that confuses me to this day. It was your average day back in 2003. Samuel and I were roommates in a basement apartment. I was in my bed, invested in a book when he called my name 3 times from the living room. He only ever sounded so excited whenever he came across a news article about some mysterious event, so I got up, then sped over to him. He was sitting at his computer, glancing back and forth between me and the screen. He was on a website featuring a list of blue links along a white background. Each link had a month-year date as a title: March 1984, July 1985, October 1986. He clicked on the one titled November 1982, then was brought to a digital copy of a document labeled with the CIA's logo. Samuel stared at it. "Read it, man." The stuff I remember from the document are as follows. On September 1st, 1959, a dark sphere was spotted 25 miles off the coast of Florida. The object began emitting a red glow, then yellow, blue, orange. It then accelerated upward at 90 degrees. A CIA article about an official UFO encounter. There was no way this was real. This document had to have been fake. Peeking at the website's name, well, all I can recall is it was something along the lines of interceptiongov.com. I asked Samuel if this was a website for conspiracy theorists. Not at all. He clicked back to the main page, then clicked the link titled May 1984, which brought him to another digitized article. Read this one too. This is all I can recall from the article. Sometime in the 1500s, I don't remember the exact date, in a German city, don't remember which one, unfortunately, equipped with 2 red crescent-shaped transport aircraft. Force arrived with their own attack aircraft, also orb-shaped, red and blue. A large, mile-wide spear-shaped aircraft arrived to clean up the debris and recover bodies. No debris or non-human intelligence was discovered by civilians. I asked Samuel if this was a website for fictional articles. He gave me a look. "Come on, I need you to read these." Samuel showed me a couple dozen more articles, his hand shaking as he scrolled through them. One of them had a black and white image of a logo, a star with some lines beginning at each point. The lines from the star's top and rightmost points intersected, forming a square. Many of the articles covered eyewitness accounts of UFOs from members of the US Army and many government agencies. The mysterious flying objects were mostly orb-shaped, square-shaped, tic-tac-shaped, or triangular, and these reports came out of many different locations around the world in a variety of contexts, such as training exercises, leisure time, wars, etc. Some of the witnesses saw a dark orb hover down into their own backyard. Some of the other articles went in depth about extraterrestrial races. One of them was called the Marupan. The others are fuzzy. The ones likely to attempt to invade us, the ones protecting us, what we called their planets, what they called their own planets, what they called our planet. Planet names were different depending on the perspective of which race discovered them. There was an article under October 2000 in which a CIA agent was harassed. Here's what I can recall. As I reached the source of the light, it started blinking. The leaves were being ruffled with, and something was sliding erratically across the pavement. I backed away, then whatever it was, under the leaves lunged at me. I turned and ran, with the sound of something rough sliding even faster along the sidewalk. Suddenly, something sharp clawed at my back. The pain wouldn't cease. A cooperative ran up to me, then his face creased as he glanced behind me. He shot at the thing 8 times before the horrendous sounds it made ceased. Showed there was a purple scar running up my back. The pain prevents me from lying on my back. I'm being told something will happen to my family if I do so much as visit a casual professional doctor. Is my boss part of a CIA non-human intelligence sector or a mob family? This has stuck with me, whether I believed it was true or not. It was chilling, and at first I thought it was a fiction article written for a website similar to the SCP Wiki. Samuel showed me maybe a quarter of the articles, going by the fact the links from around 2000 onwards had around 10 articles each, while the ones from prior had 1 to 3. Although he only clicked 3 links from this century, every article I read had to do with different races that weren't human, and encounters with spacecraft not from Earth. I couldn't understand why Samuel would want me to read them. They were clearly fake, right? I didn't believe in aliens and had heard too many debunkings of UFO sightings to convince me they were real. When he clicked the link titled March or July 2003, he was given an error page. Within the following hour or so, we got a knock on our door. I answered it to find a dozen people in unmarked SWAT gear standing all around my backyard. The one nearest to me told me to step outside. My heart sunk. I don't recall doing anything illegal. I was pulled aside, then cuffed. Many of the agents proceeded to run into the house as the 3 surrounding me started walking me across my yard. We were approaching 2 SWAT vans when I heard a bunch of footsteps from behind. I looked back and saw the agents had come back out with Samuel, who was also in cuffs. What could he, of all people, have done? What was going on? Samuel and I were put into separate vans, then taken to the nearby police station. I was walked into an empty room, then sat down at a table across from a middle-aged man with gray hair. The man asked me a few basic questions about Samuel. None of them were about me, which was relieving. They soon let me out, then drove me back home. As for Samuel, he didn't return that night, or the night after that, or the night after that. I called him, but he wouldn't answer. I'd email him, but he wouldn't respond. Where was he? What was he doing? On night 9, I emailed him once more, but his email address was defunct. Weird. I called him again, but somebody completely different picked up and claimed I had called the wrong number. Was he okay? I contacted his parents. They told me he was under investigation, but they weren't told what it was about. I contacted the police. They told me they'd be on the lookout and let me know if they found his whereabouts. On night 10, I was zapped awake by a stinging pain. Some animal was gnawing at my right arm with teeth that felt as if they robotically moved independently from its mouth. The animal would yank my arm to the left, then the right, but its teeth moved in a circular motion instead. I wrestled away until the thing let go, then I jumped out of bed. The animal let out a howl that didn't sound like anything I had heard before. I ran for the door, yanking it open, then getting it shut before that wild thing could injure me more. There was a hard slam against the door, then another. I reached for my home phone, but it wasn't there. Where the hell did I put it? Another slam and the door made a cracking noise. My stomach sank. I ran upstairs to the exit. As I got the door open, there was another growl, followed by the sound of thin wood being broken, then the sound of paws racing along the carpet. Dread overcame me, then I slammed the exit door shut. I looked at my neighbor's house, noticing their bedroom light was still on. Hoping I had enough time to get them to call the police, I sprinted for their house. Not even halfway there, a dark object landed a foot away from me, obscuring my view of the light in the window. I bumped into the object, getting a face full of metal, then fell back onto the grass with a stinging pain. I held my face, then tried to make out what I had just run into. It was too dark outside to make the thing out, but I knew it was metal and able to hover gently to the ground without making a sound. While picking myself back up, there was a thud against the exit door. I felt around, navigating around the metal object. It was round. I continued on to my neighbor's. I grabbed the fence, ready to hop it, when I was blinded by a flashlight. All these voices began shouting at me, "Stop, on the ground." I looked to my right. The light was aimed down, and I could see the silhouettes of, I'm unsure of how many people. Once they got to me, I was put in cuffs and brought into the back of a SWAT van. Why was I in cuffs this time? Are they going to capture that animal and take it far away from my property? I did see some rifle-wielding individuals in SWAT gear run by me right before I was cuffed. My heart was racing and none of my questions were answered on the way to the police station. At the station, I was taken into the same empty room. Instead of being asked questions, I was told, with no specifics, that my home was contaminated and I needed to be relocated. I tried my best to get answers out of them, but they told me again and again they couldn't answer much. My wound was treated. Then I was taken to a hotel room on the other side of town. I had no idea what any of that was about, and I still have no idea. Something is out there though. Who else was driving that silent hovercraft? The thing couldn't have been classified government tech, as the government wouldn't want casual suburban citizens of all people to see it. And it reminded me of that website. I could never find that site again, no matter how hard I looked. Perhaps that error page wasn't temporary and the site had leaked info. The government must have let me go because revealing to me the website had official info on it would have been more difficult than just letting me believe the site was probably the hoax site anyone would have thought it was. If the site is truly real though, then how did some casual dude access it? It couldn't have been up for long either at that point. And if I wasn't arrested for potentially having looked at the site I probably assumed was a hoax site, why was Samuel arrested? For all they knew, Samuel was just as likely to have looked at the site, unless he had something to do with it. As for that animal, I don't know what to say other than that I've never been able to find any information about an animal like it, and I hope I don't encounter it again. Since night 10, I haven't been able to look up at the sky. I haven't been able to watch videos about aliens or UFOs or UAPs. That officially released video of the flying black orb in the Middle East is haunting. Without a sinking feeling of dread about how powerful these non-human intelligences may be and what they could do to us. Also, to this day, I still haven't been told a single thing about Samuel. I've made 10 good friends since he was arrested, but there's this intrusive worry I have that I'm just trying to recreate my friendship with him. Wherever he is, I hope he's okay. I spoke too soon. I thought getting my experience about the wild animal and the dark round object out would put this to rest, but I was so wrong. On Wednesday at around 8 p.m., I was messaged by a person on Reddit who claimed they had the same experience back in March 2018. Here's what their message read. I read your post about your friend, Samuel, and all that chaotic stuff with the police and that animal that attacked you. I'm glad I'm not alone in this. In March 2018, I was sitting in my backyard when a circular dark object landed feet away. It was within the shine of my backyard's light. It was just jet black and shiny. I didn't have the exact same experience as you though. Instead, I woke up in a hospital bed and was told I was found passed out and bleeding heavily on the sidewalk outside my house. I had no idea what happened, so after being released from the hospital, I asked each of my neighbors if they saw me outside that night. They each told me the same thing, that they slept peacefully the entire night, that they hadn't been woken up by a single thing. Your post reminded me of that, and it's something that's always stuck with me. Hopefully you'll find out what happened to you and your friend. It was assuring to read someone else's experience with this type of thing, but that post aside, on Thursday I found a USB drive with an attached sticky note lying on my doorstep. Here's what the note read. Play me. Did Anthony give me this? I should play whatever's on it so my house won't be haunted by a three-headed ghost. Back in my living room, I took the drive inside, then inserted it into my phone. A video file popped up. I tapped it, then it began to play. A wrinkly, bald-headed man was speaking in what sounded like a mix of English, French, and Korean. There were English subtitles along the bottom of the screen. There were some light translation-related errors, but here's what they read. Hello, this may not seem within the ordinary, but here it is. On September 1st, 2003, you were subject to unfair treatment by a few individuals and a dog. You may recall a fellow named Samuel Furtado being arrested by unmarked men in tactics gear. If you remember this event, write the word yes on the sticky note attached to the drive. Make sure the sticky note is still attached to the drive, then leave the drive where you discovered it. You must arrive at a spot 500 feet from Nyaneva Road, 1 mile away from North Road Ridge East. Passing notes is easier under our current conditions. If you cannot meet at that spot at the designated time, write a good time and location on the sticky, then leave the drive with the note attached where you found it. They knew Samuel. They have answers. Yes, please. I followed the instructions, then continued on with my night. I looked the location up. It was in the middle of a field outside of town. The next morning, I checked my doorstep to find the USB was gone. No sign of the sticky note either. Hopefully this would lead somewhere good and conclusive. I need Samuel back. There's so much to catch up on with him. I texted two of my friends, Charlie and Anthony, telling them about the USB, the video, then asked them if they wanted to meet me in the spot I agreed to be in. I had already told them about the night Samuel was arrested, the website he looked at, the night I was bitten and encountered that round object. Anthony was enthused about the object and the website. It inspired him to write fictional CIA articles about aliens, higher dimensions, and alternate realities. He showed me you don't need a narrative to make something interesting, but I am hungry for more. Charlie isn't a believer in aliens and thinks the UAPs in those videos the Pentagon released are balloons, because the military is dumb enough to misidentify a balloon, right? I can't convince him, but he's so good on the defense side of things I need him in case this is something else. They both responded, telling me they have time, and they'd meet me at the spot. We arrived at around 11 p.m. It was pitch dark, aside from the flashlights from our phones. All I could hear was the chirping of crickets, until Anthony spoke. "You sure we're about to see a UFO?" I chuckled. "It's crazy, I know." Charlie scanned the field with his light. "What should we do while we wait?" We each talked about our day, no big deal. Anthony started talking about aliens. The discussion lasted around half an hour before I picked up on something strange. I looked behind me, then back at my friends. "You guys, the crickets stopped chirping." Charlie scanned the field again. "Yeah, it's so quiet right now, it's weird." I was then startled by a bone-chilling growl. Anthony and Charlie jumped and looked in the direction of its source. The grass was being ruffled with, which was when all three of us started running back to the road. As I ran through the corn stalks, I felt something breathing along my lower back. A pit formed in my stomach. Around what had to have been 20 feet away from the road, a bright white light flashed into the corner of my eye. I tripped over some object, then landed on my right arm, in the dirt. What the hell? God, no. Dread overtook me as I anticipated a painful attack. I attempted to get back up, but it was as if every inch of my body was frozen. I tried to yell my friends' names, but I couldn't speak. The animal sniffed my legs, then my arms. Being unable to move makes an adrenaline rush so much worse. The animal sniffed my face, then it growled. As I anticipated the worst, I heard the loud pop of a gunshot. A second later, the animal fell onto me. Anthony spoke to himself. "Is it dead?" I couldn't speak. Anthony walked up to the animal with his phone's flashlight on. He aimed the light at the thing's midsection, then its head. Its head was touching my jaw, so Anthony's light was shining right in my eyes too. He gasped, "Oh my God." He kept the light on my face, remaining silent. After about 10 more seconds, I twitched. I was able to move my toes, my fingers, my hands, my head. Anthony sighed. "Okay, good. Dude, I thought I got you too. Something told me you were somewhere behind me." As I picked myself up, a bright flash of light caught my attention. I looked up and could make out the faint outlines of two round objects hovering by each other. My heart sank. I took a few steps back. Anthony aimed his light at each of them, only barely illuminating the things. "Holy crap," Charlie said. One of the round objects started moving closer to me. I turned back and gunned for the road. Once I reached it, there was another flash of light. A loud boom followed, leaving me with ringing ears and heightened adrenaline. I sprinted across the road, then into the field of corn stalks. There was another flash, along with another boom, then another. They got quicker, but I could only run so fast. Soon enough, each of the explosions were getting quieter. I looked back to see the two round objects chasing after each other. One of them was flaming, then got hit with an explosion. They're fighting. I was told to be in this spot. Or, well, in a spot north of this spot. What was I supposed to do? The flaming object hovered towards me. As I prepared to continue running for my life, it was struck again, then fell to the ground, making a metallic thud as it landed. The object that won was still in the sky, while the object that lost was burning away in the field. I did not expect to see anything like this. "What the hell is happening?" Charlie said. "I knew they were real." "Fuck yes," Anthony said. Never seen anything like that before. I thought I was about to die, I said, trying to process the fact I just witnessed two objects from who knows what planet warring with each other. As I contemplated getting the hell away from the area, I heard a voice like my own inner voice, but deeper. Hello, we apologize. We were subject to an act of terror we had to defend ourselves from. We will ensure this will never happen again. You will be given the support you need at another time. We'll give you a sheet of paper so you can write a time and location that both respects your mental wellness, as well as our guidelines for visiting this planet under our current conditions. Distance yourself away from this location as soon as possible before the crashed vehicle gets any special attention from your local governing agencies. I took their word for it, then called out to my friends. I found Anthony standing 20 feet away from the fiery wreck, filming it with his phone. Charlie, holding a gun of his own, put his hand on Anthony's shoulder and told him it was time to go. I would have started filming too from where I was standing, but I felt the need to get away from the area as soon as possible. Soon enough, Anthony was done filming. We then made our way back to the road, found our car, then started making our way back to town. A minute down the road, flashing red and blue lights started moving in our direction. Soon enough, two police, or SWAT, vans zoomed by us. Charlie, sitting in the passenger seat, looked at me. I thought he was about to say something to me, but he then looked back down at his phone. Anthony, in the back, sighed. Another cover-up. Once I got home, I checked my doorstep. Nothing yet. I came up with a good time and location, then carried on with my night. I'm glad my friends and I are safe. I'm not sure what those extraterrestrials want from me. It's bizarre I'm even in this situation to begin with. Also, Anthony told me he scooped up a small piece of dark metal in the field before we left. Now he's figuring out what he should do with it. Time will tell what happens next. Also, I still don't know where Samuel is. However, whoever telepathically spoke to me gave me this hunch. One that doesn't feel like it belongs to me. A hunch that somebody will post information on here that will give me an answer. That better be soon.